welcome back to the Casual Temple. We're so excited to welcome Pia Mailhot-Leichter to the temple today. Pia is the author of Welcome to the Creative Club, Make Life Your Biggest Art Project, a book that challenges the notion that creativity is reserved for the chosen few and instead invites everyone to embrace life as their own creative masterpiece. Beyond her writing, Pia helps individuals bring their creative ideas, brands, and businesses to life. Her journey, from navigating pivotal life moments to crafting a career that feels inspiration, is exactly what all of us need in our lives today. Pia, it's so wonderful to have you here on the Casual Temple.
Woo! Thank you for such a warm welcome, Marilee. I'm so happy to
Yes.
be here.
Absolutely. Yes. I love talking about creativity. Some of my listeners might be like, why are we talking about creativity on your like spiritual podcast? But you guys, it is all the same thing. To me, it is all the same thing. That's why we're talking about it. And I've had other artists and musicians, and we talked about TV on this channel. So you guys, like, this is definitely within the realm of what we like to hear. So I'm very excited we got connected.
And I really agree with you that,
Yeah.
there's nothing, life is a creative process.
Hmm. Yeah,
It is so close to spirit, and we're co-creating with
absolutely.
life all the time. So I
Yeah.
think it's very connected as well. Creativity is also connected to sexuality, to many things, but
Hmm.
definitely as well spirituality. It's
Yeah.
it's like we're emulating the original God or universal energy or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
So
That's exactly my perspective. So I'm glad we're like simpatico on that. Um, yeah, so we kind of just start wherever you consider the beginning of your journey, your creative journey.
sure.
Yeah.
Beginning of my creative journey. Well, what's interesting is I grew up, my dad's an abstract artist. He's a painter. I grew up in the Lower East Side, Manhattan. On the Bowery before it became what it is today. My father is one of like the artists who helped gentrify the neighborhood and really spearheaded that whole kind of artist movement there. And so I grew up in a world of color and shape and form, and creativity was just like a natural part of life. It's just from especially as a kid watching my dad, paint splattered jeans, listening to music. He'd be painting, I'd be like writing, and it's just kind of what we did. And I didn't realize what a gift that was until I
Mhm.
got older. And then I heard stories of, some of my clients or even friends talking about creativity as something that's for, the special few, or
Right.
it's dangerous, or, maybe they didn't get that kind of support growing up, or something. Oh, it's not serious. Let's get serious. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
And I think I'm fortunate because I think my creative journey really started there.
Mm.
The flip side of that, because there's always a flip side,
Yeah.
is that I also saw, how financially challenging it can be at the time. From what I saw, it was when you color outside society's prescriptive lines,
Mm.
you can pay like a rebellion tax.
Right.
And so that always scared me away from really owning creativity as what I did to make a living. Like when I say creativity, I mean just like my father, like, oh, I'm just going to become an author and hope that works out. And so that was what else that gave me. And then I realized as I grew older that my dad is a gifted, brilliant, amazing artist and my hero in so many ways because he did whatever he needed to do to keep painting,
Mm.
and which is what he loved. He often told me that he didn't choose art, art chose him. And I remember thinking I didn't want to be picked if that was the price. And so I chose commercial creativity. I
Yeah.
went a different route because it felt like, okay, I can create and do what I love, but also have some security. Oh, that's what I was about to say. So I realized that, so my dad is my biggest hero in many ways, but he might not have always been the best businessman.
Right.
So the stories we pick up when we're younger from our parents, we see them through the eyes of little us, right? And
Yeah.
so it took a while to unwind that and get the courage to also just make stuff,
Yeah.
and trust that it will unfold. And the way it would in whatever way it's meant to unfold. That's back
Hmm.
to trust and spirituality.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, yeah, what a blessing to have that in your life just from a really young age. And I like that you were saying that, it's just kind of like we all have that creative piece in us, all of us, even though we get messages that that's not the case. And one is maybe more valuable than the other, right? Like the arty art and maybe not the commercial art is, that there's like some
Yep.
sort of more value for that. Um, and something I've been thinking about a lot lately, this is so goofy, but like, um, like in Jane Austen books, okay, stay with me, yeah, stay with me. You kind of read about how like they'll go and have like a little like gathering in like a sitting room or something, but they'll have somebody who sings, somebody will be drawing, like all of them, they all did some type of creativity and it wasn't like weird or like, oh, this was a special person. They all just had something that they were doing constantly. And like, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think, it's important. Creativity has become synonymous with artistic expression.
Right.
And artistic
Hmm.
expression is, of course, one huge facet of creativity, but it's
Yeah.
not the only one. I
Right.
mean, creativity is how we solve, how we approach or solve everyday problems in novel, useful, original, and unexpected ways. And that could look like opening the fridge and be like, I have four ingredients.
Yeah.
What am I gonna make for dinner? It
Yes.
could look like so many different things. It could
Yeah.
it could be scientists are immensely creative. And I remember reading an academic journal for my book, doing research, and in the journal, the writer, the researcher posited that crime is really creative. And I thought, oh yeah,
Oh,
that's true. It just was
yes.
really funny the contrast. I didn't expect to read it in in the academic journal, but there's so many ways. I think everything we do is creative, how we show
Hmm.
up in the world. When we do it from our kind of unique signature, who we are, when we're
Yeah.
creating from that sort of anchored place of our unique identity or our unique expression, our unique energy signature, then by default, of course, we're creative because there's no one else like Marilee Duffy. Do you
Right.
know? So no one
Yeah.
else can create in that way. And that's what creativity is. It's not parroting, it's not copying, it's not repeating. It's finding your own way of connecting dots, of strutting into a room, of composing an email, of writing a poem, if that's your thing, of doing so many different things. It's really how we live. It's a way of being in the world. It's not just something that we do,
Hmm.
just to
Yeah.
expand, just to like crack it open a
Yeah.
bit. Because I think what stops us from being creative is the idea that I'm not creative.
Right.
So that was why it was so important for me, at least in the book, like smash the myth. Like this is, of course, you're creative. If you're a human, you're an artist at play. Our biology, our brain function. I mean, it's inherent in who we are. It's inherent in how we think. We all have a control mode network and a default mode network. The default mode network is often known as the imagination network. And this is where it's what we're thinking about when we're not thinking. It's in the
Mm.
subconscious, when dots connect, when we're daydreaming, when we're in the shower. It's those like beautiful moments of pause when we're not consciously trying to solve or ideate or create something, where we
Hmm.
have those moments. And that's at least one of the influences of, or at least correlated the default mode network. And we all come with that. We're all equipped with that. So yeah, it's to me, it's just really important to not only redefine creativity, but to redefine who's creative. That's everybody. It's what
Yeah.
enabled our survival as a species.
I
I mean,
agree. That's
it's
why
in
we're
our
here.
bones. Yeah. It's in our
Yeah.
DNA. It's our birthright.
Yeah. I mean, that's how, we got our ancient ancestors made tools and figured out
Fire.
society and fire
Yeah.
and all those things.
All of
Yeah.
it. It's how we also started to tell stories that united
Yeah.
groups of more than 150 people, making them feel a sense of belonging that connected them
Yeah.
and enabled their survival, that feeling of community and connection. I mean, it's in it's in our history, it's in who we are today, and it's in our future. Our ability to creatively solve challenges is going to be key for our continued survival, to take it up a notch.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I love the idea of expanding the idea of creativity instead of, which is um, not great that it's in this like weird little box that it's been put in, at least in the Western world. So I'm glad, yeah, I love that idea of just like make it the biggest circle and everybody's in it. So that's great.
Yeah, and then I'm imagining your Jane Austen scene,
Yeah.
because then people are coming up doing all types of things. Maybe someone
Yeah.
has a comedy act. Maybe
Right. Yeah.
someone else has, is drawing. Maybe, I mean, we're all doing, maybe someone can, play Jenga for 2 hours. Who knows what it
Yes.
could be?
Yeah. Whatever your thing is, that's
Right.
cool.
Whatever your thing is. And I think that's the key, is to getting curious and exploring and experimenting to find out what your thing is. And your
Hmm.
thing will change because we're changing. But
Yeah.
that's where the joy and the play of creativity also comes in. It's like, what's my thing now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I'm thinking about because like my day job is very analytical, oddly enough. I have a very analytical day job, but it's a lot of like process organization and that sort. And there's a lot of I'm going to say it, there's a lot of creativity that has to come with that because you're looking at
Absolutely.
chaos and like how do you make it not chaos?
Totally.
Yeah.
I
So.
mean, same with accounting. It could be same with being a lawyer. It could be extremely creative. I mean, and I think why is it important to remember this? It's because I think it's what allows us to be more expansive in our
Hmm.
thinking and our identity, which which fuels our creativity as we move forward. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm creative. Look at this. Oh, what am I going to create next? What am I going to do? Like it
Hmm.
becomes something that empowers and fuels us rather than keeps us small. The thought that I'm not creative, that's reserved for the singers and dancers and,
Right.
and painters of the world. And yeah, sure, that's one way, but there are
Hmm.
many others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so kind of in addition to your dad, who was obviously like a really great support and guide in your life, did you have any other guides and people that supported you to kind of go the route you were going?
Well, that's a good question. Um, Guides. Hmm. Not to be cheesy, but I think in many ways life was my guide. So I
Yeah.
believe life has been teaching me many. I think, okay, so guides. I think life has been teaching me, and I think it took me certain lessons to realize that I wasn't only a creative director at work, because that's what I did for many years. I worked in creative agencies as a creative director, copywriter, creative strategist, and it was great work. Exciting, did it for well over a decade. And then, I knew what it was.
Right.
And I felt the urge, the calling to see what I might create if I channeled my creativity into building my own business, my own dream, whatever that might be. So that helped me expand my own view of what I did and what creativity meant. But oftentimes it took the school of hard knocks to knock me up, like
Right.
get me into these unknown spaces.
Yeah.
So there were many. We're talking about like guidance, right? So I'm just trying to
Hmm.
think. So there were many, like when I got fired from my job where I was one of three partners building a creative studio that I poured everything
Oh,
into. At
yeah.
the moment, it felt like disaster and destruction, but it gave me a chance to sit back and think about what I wanted really to do and to create next and the life that I wanted to live. And I decided to go on the Trans-Siberian instead of looking for a job because I had severance pay at a time where I really needed to rediscover myself and to be reminded that of course I'm going to be okay. Of course I can do it. The world is big, is beautiful. It's so much more than kind of this small box I had put myself in. And here's my point. So while I was on the train, I was looking out I was crossing Siberia. There was a Russian guy in a wife beater drinking vodka in front of me. Another guy with his socks hanging down. I was in the third class rail card because I heard that that's the best way to experience real Russia. I would have gone second class. It's
Right. So it's a
okay.
little,
We can do second class, not a problem.
yeah.
But it was there was still mystery and there was magic, and I was just in this unknown place. I felt like anything was possible, and I had this epiphany, like this moment where I thought, I created this. I
Mm,
creatively directed this scene. I took myself out of, I mean, I could have stayed in that situation, licking my wounds after being fired, getting really anxious about what was next. 'Cause I was on a work visa. So if I didn't find a new job within a certain amount of time, I would get kicked out of the country.
right.
I could have stayed in that spiral, but I didn't. I chose to book that ticket to a bucket list desire. And in that moment, looking around, hearing the sound, smelling the sour sweat and fish, looking outside the window, seeing Siberia just, passing by, I thought to myself, I'm not only a creative director in what I do, I'm creatively directing my life.
Mm,
I did this.
yeah.
And that was a guiding moment, right? That was like a shift that enabled me to see myself and my relationship with life very, very differently. And it
Mhm.
also shifted my perspective on creativity in many, many ways. It's not just something I did, right? It's a way
Yeah.
of being with life. And that was
Yeah.
really powerful. So I don't know if that really answers your
Oh,
question, but
for sure.
life has been a guide. So I was trying to find one example that really kind of embodied that
Yeah. I
more
think
than
that's,
anything.
yeah, it's such a beautiful example and something I've been talking about recently with some of my guests is the idea of like you are like you just said, you directed this, you're the director, you directed like the action is I'm going on to Trans-Siberian Railroad instead of sitting in your apartment or wherever you were and just like being sad, which is, understandable, um but you're like, but I want to do this, like make it bigger and better. Because then what is the story you're going to tell, or your descendants, or, the people in your family, they're going to tell this cool story of like Pia, doing this awesome thing and look what she built afterwards. That's the story that you want to have live on, right? So it's
Absolutely.
so cool.
And whenever I catch myself in moments where I'm feeling like, oh, I don't know, I
Yeah.
always ask myself, like, okay, well, how would I creatively direct the next scene? You know, I
Mm,
think I'm going to make myself a hot matcha latte. It's one of my favorite. I'm going to put it on this playlist. I might even dance in the kitchen, a little bit. We're always creatively directing our lives. We're just not always doing it consciously.
right.
And
Yes.
so just in those small shifts to go like, how do I want the set design to look? What do I want the score to be? What is the costume design? What is the script I'm reading from? And I think
Yeah.
it's so important to be conscious of what are the scripts that we're reading from about life,
Hmm.
because that colors and shapes our experience of it.
Yeah.
Change the script or the shit,
Or
change the
shit.
script and you change your experience. And to me, that is real creative empowerment. That's really stepping into your creative director chair, full awareness, leaning back and going, okay, what am I reading from? Are they serving me or are they harming me? Is there a new
Mm,
script I'd rather write? How do I want to be in a relationship with life, with uncertainty? And these are huge questions. And that's why I like these like small scene snippets
yeah.
because it feels so much more manageable just to like take a moment, take a step back and say, how would I creatively direct my next scene? And then you can go deeper and be like, in my wildest imaginings, what are three possible futures I'd love to inhabit in 1 year? You can just really start to play with this creative direction of life. And that to me is making life your biggest art project. That's so much more. I mean, nothing wrong. We love we love writing a song. We love doing things that are also, different expressions of our creativity, but so is this. That's what
Right.
my point is. This and this too. Because what more creative act than designing your one experience of life? I can't think of
Yes.
anything more creative.
No. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, and it's like you were saying, it's just like a constant thing. And even little moments where you're just kind of like by yourself wherever you're at, like, oh, to,
Yeah.
make this more like I'm living, like I'm creating at that in that moment. That's so cool. Think
I
about.
love what you just touched on. So making it
Yeah.
more like I'm living, like I'm
Yeah.
creating, less that I am a passive bystander or an extra on set
Yeah.
that has to
Yeah.
just follow along with what's being presented to me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really the shift
Yeah.
because I get it. I was also in a place where I felt like life was happening to me.
Yeah.
It felt very, and I think especially in the world we're living in today, it can feel very much like things are just happening to us. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, and we are also happening to life.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
get to choose how we see things, we get to choose how we respond. We always get to choose one way or
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah. So how would you, so somebody who has a lot of self-doubt, um, is that where you would start? Was like just direct one scene of your life, or how, somebody's just like, I don't, I can't and I won't and I shouldn't. Like, how would you help that person kind of dig their way into being more creative?
Well, if someone has self-doubt, usually that blocks any kind of action.
Right.
So we're not really creating anything necessarily. There's just a loop like, oh no, I couldn't do this because, and so I think action helps quiet doubt. I won't say kills it because that's, it will pop up now and again.
Yeah.
So I like to invite people to run a series of experiments because the word experiment is lovely. It
Yes.
it it allows us to fail beautifully because you should. Experiments also need to fail in the sense, because then you're like, oh, I'm getting data. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like that didn't really work out. That wasn't really interesting for me. Or I don't know how I felt about that. Or like we just get data as we do things, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
makes us it shifts the conversation. It shifts us from self-doubt to self-curiosity or self-exploration.
Yeah.
So I would invite anyone feeling self-doubt about creating anything and be like, well, okay, first let's invite curiosity in because
Mm-hmm.
curiosity kills judgment. You can't be judgmental and curious at the same time. It's like oil and water. It doesn't work. So just getting curious about, okay, well, what do you really want to create? What are you doubting? Oh, I want to write a newsletter, but I don't think I can do it. That inner
Right.
critic that we all have. I
Yes.
have to.
Yeah.
Let's normalize it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, what would you get curious? Well, what would you write about? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, what if you just sat down and gave yourself 30 minutes and give yourself full permission to suck? Just that's what I do. Every time I sit down to write, I give myself like, listen, this is the first draft. It doesn't have to be fantastic at all.
Yeah.
All you need to do is show up. Show up for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, show up for what you're writing, and get it out. And that helps me every time the inner critic comes in or doubt comes in. Because if the critic gets involved too soon, then you're not going to create anything. Like, and
Yeah.
that happens to me. Like, oh, what are you using that word for? No, no, no. You're going to come later in the creative process. It's not now. This
Yeah.
is anything goes space. This is full permission to suck. This is just play. This is experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
So get curious about what it is that you're feeling doubtful about. What's pulling you? And then experiment and play. Give yourself a little timer and allow yourself that space for it not to have to be good, just for it to be, and then being really proud of yourself that you showed up for it. And you did it. I don't know. Action to me, action plus curiosity, crosses out doubt often, or
Yeah.
at least diminishes it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm thinking back to points in my life, and for sure, it's always action, just like the action. Because, like, basically, what you're doing with self-doubt is literally just sitting there and letting your mind just like stop you from doing things. So,
Totally.
so I think that's interesting. And then experimentation is so huge. And it was making me think of like the idea that, doctors have a practice, lawyers have a practice, shouldn't everybody just be in practice? We're always like making these things so big and scary, but like big and scary things like doctors and lawyers are practicing people. They're
I love
experimenting.
that.
Yeah,
I love
all the
that
time.
reframe. That's beautiful. I actually say that often, like I am practicing moving with trust with life
Yeah.
because it removes the idea that there's like a destination or there's like
Right.
a point in time where I'm just going to be fully trusting and like, it's a practice. There'll be some days I'm doing really well. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
look, I released anxiety or I'm feeling good or I just went for it. There are other days where, hey, maybe I'm not moving. I'm moving. Fear has shown up and there's a bit more fear than there is trust. And that's okay because I'm practicing. So I
Hmm.
find that is using that reframe is frees us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
think
that's,
everything's a practice.
yeah. Yeah. Everything. We're all
Everything.
practicing. Our life is
Yeah.
practicing.
I mean, if we're
Yeah.
growing, we're
Yeah.
practicing, right? Because
Yes.
if we're stagnating or we're doing the same thing over and over again, it might feel like, oh, I'm an expert, like I got this down. Yeah,
Yeah.
but isn't it great to also keep learning and being a beginner again and new first times and all of
Yeah.
that will hopefully we're continuously practicing, or at least I find that much more exciting.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely think it kind of opens up everything, yourself and the world around you. So yeah, let's all practice, everybody. So kind of on the flip on that. So what is your take on like on rest? We're like doing all this, pushing out all this energy. What's your idea about rest?
I love this epiphany came to me like, what if my creative genius and yours lives on the other side of rest? And that was also through the research that I did about how, for neuroscience research, about how the brain works. And I was just talking about the default mode network. Well, that's associated with the imagination and creativity. That comes online, so to speak, when we're daydreaming, resting, pausing.
Hmm.
And it's just as important to the creative process as our control
Yeah.
mode network. And I just think it's so, I mean, I'm raised in New York City, so I'm like a recovering speed queen.
Yes.
Rest is definitely a practice for me, and rest is closely connected to trust
Mm,
because when I'm able to trust myself and life, I allow myself to rest. I don't feel the fear of, well, if I'm not doing all the time, or if I'm not pedal to the metal, then I'm not going to survive, or whatever the
yeah.
stories fear tells, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's also a cultural story. Our value is connected to what we produce,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
I mean, that's a story that needs to be rewritten. Your value is just by being who you are. Operative word being is being, right? We are
Yeah.
human beings, not human doings. So, but it's hard. It can be
Yeah.
really hard to stop and to pause because I think also this rest or stopping and pausing, we have to feel whatever we're feeling.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's easier to keep moving through it rather than to stop and to take stock. Or if we've learned, like myself, learned to feel more safe in movement, and I'm teaching myself to feel safe in stillness. It's one of those other beautiful practices. So I think rest is super important. And I am building evidence that I can create a fantastic, thriving, profitable, creative business with ease
Yeah.
because I built evidence for the opposite. That's what happens when we like pedal to the metal. It's like, oh, I've done all these things because I'm giving it everything I have, blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah,
Hmm.
okay. What if I created evidence for another way? Because I can do that too, right? And
Yeah.
so that's the practice. That's what I'm practicing. I went to Bali for my birthday for 3 weeks after because I writing the book, promoting the book, doing all of my wonderful, beautiful business, all these things. I've been pretty active for almost 2 years, and I really felt like I needed rest and reset. And
Yeah.
so I gave myself for my birthday the gift of 3 weeks, and it was, I mean, it was amazing. It was what I needed. It was hard in the beginning because that other voice was like, "Hey, what you doing? You're really gonna do
Right.
nothing?" And then I heard my intuition, like, "Yeah, we're doing nothing." And when I came back last week. I still have that sense of inner spaciousness,
Yeah.
and calm, and I'm about to launch my audiobook.
Oh,
And the
cool.
energy of that launch, like in a couple of weeks, it feels so different. it feels so different within because I've given myself this space. And who
Hmm.
knows what it will be. I'm going to show up for it. I'm not just going to expect things to happen, but
Yeah.
I'm going to do it with a different energy. And that's what rest gave me. Rest
Yeah.
gave me that space. So I want to do more of that.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly important to not only our well-being, but to our creativity.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, beautifully explained. And it's something I talk about a lot here, because for, as you know, that the intuition or the other, like the new messages, the new communication you get, it can't get in there when you're just like active and like la la la. You have to be at rest and like let it come to you, because that's what's happening is you're letting all of that come to you, um, in those restful moments. So then you can do new things. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
I got a download when I was in Bali. I got a
yeah,
download of the universe that just said, "Hey, girl, get out the driver's seat. Give me some space. Let me drive. I've got places to show you."
yeah.
It's like what happens when we stop thinking that we're the sole drivers of our lives. Like this is it. Like if we don't do it, who else is going to? Well, what
Yeah.
if we reconnect to, hey, we're co-creating this thing here. And
Hmm.
what happens if I lean into trust and like release the wheel a little bit, knowing when to lean forward, when to lean back, and when to park,
Yes, exactly right.
I think is such and yet another practice. Like when do we lean forward? When do we lean back? And then when
Yeah.
do we just be still, pause?
Hmm.
And it reminds me of the Tao where it said, I love this line so much, like how much effort does it take to achieve a state of effortlessness? And I think the answer to that question needs to be asked every day because our
Yeah.
energy is different every single day. And that to me is a beautifully succinct way of saying when do we lean forward, when do we lean back, and when do we pause?
Hmm.
And for me, I think, when I lean back, I get really beautifully surprised at what emerges in the space because when we're like speeding, we have blinders on. We don't see any of the billboards or any of the things that are zooming by us, and there's just so much available
Hmm.
that kind of gets shut out. So I think that's also a spiritual practice, rest.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Yes. Like meditation, right? It's basically
Absolutely.
rest. It's rest.
That helped knock me out of my New York like A type. I still wake up without an alarm, but years ago I started meditating as like the first thing I did when I wake up, and
Mhm.
that's been rewiring me. Because
Yeah.
normally I would get up and like, what I gotta do,
Boom. Yeah.
you know,
Right.
poof.
Yeah.
My husband presses snooze 20 times. I'm not like that, not to say one is bad or one is
Right.
good.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And going straight into like a meditation practice is like, no, there's nothing more important than this.
Hmm.
And it just grounds me, it recenters me, it changes the shape of my entire day. And so I
Yeah.
think creating these rituals or these practices that serve us, that rewire, are really important.
Oh, yeah. You explained all of that so beautifully. And especially like you said, growing up in New York. And if anybody's been to New York, you can feel that hum of energy just 24 hours a day. And so it's like, ooh, yeah. The biggest thing is the rest. Oh my goodness.
Which is really hard for so many of us.
Oh,
It's pretty
yeah.
crazy. Do
Yeah.
you know, like there's a statistic, I don't know if it's a bit old, that
Yeah.
at least around half of Americans don't take their full 2 weeks off a year. And
Yeah. I
and if
believe
you,
it.
I,
Yeah.
and I live in Europe now, so 2 weeks is like nothing.
I know
We
they're
have
like
like
three
four to,
months.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly.
So
Come
it's like
on.
you're not even taking your 2 weeks. So I
Yeah.
just thought that fact was like fascinating.
Yeah. And I think you saying like the rest is about trust, because I think like we're being told like the message is like, oh, if you take a break, you're just going to be slothful. You're not going to actually do it. You're just going to keep being at rest. And I'm like, I don't think that's true at all. I think it varies the amount of rest you need for whatever the situation is, but you're going to get bored. You're going to be like, I need to go do something, at some point. Um, but like, yeah, I think it's just like, that messaging is just really what's driving like, the not taking your two-week vacation.
Yeah, and so what if you don't feel moved to do anything? You're
Yeah.
still doing something. You're
Right.
also enjoying and inhabiting your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Should do that.
well, yeah, let's do that.
Let's do
That's
that.
pleasurable. I mean,
Yeah.
let's do that. We only got one. We don't know how long we have. So we
Yeah.
might as well live it, not
Yeah.
just speed by it like a Japanese bullet train.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to that person who says, well, what if you never do anything? Well, I am doing something. I'm in the hammock. I'm daydreaming. My
Yeah.
default mode network is going nuts. I'm gonna have creative eureka moments coming out of the wazoo. And
Yeah.
even that's not even, we don't even need to explain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why do we have to explain that?
Not at
Ah,
all.
oh my goodness. Well, I'd love to hear about what was there a specific moment that inspired you to write your book, or is it just like the thing
Well,
happened?
well, it's
Yeah.
interesting. When I left, because after I was fired, I found my last agency job. I worked as again, creative director at a purpose-driven creative consultancy. So using creativity for good. It was lovely,
Cool.
run and owned by two women, totally different experience. And it was beautiful for a while, but that voice I was talking about kept poking me at night, like, oh, come on, you know what this is like. And that's the thing. Sometimes what we're doing is we're successful at, and it's good on paper and it's comfortable. But there was something else urging me, and I wasn't listening because I was afraid. It's
Yeah.
like, well, what would I do? What's on the other side? I don't even know. I know what this is. I don't know what that is. And this is fine. I'm comfortable. Like I kept shooing it away. And then my mother passed away suddenly in 2021. And which was obviously heart shattering, but one
Yeah.
of her passing gifts was a reminder that this life is finite. And
Right.
if not now, when? She gave me a shot of courage, to come
Yeah.
that close, such a reminder of, our hidden expiration date. It came out of nowhere. And
Right.
yeah, it just gave me a lot. It gave me a lot of courage. And also I needed time to just be. So
Yeah.
all of these things kind of coalesced and gave me a kick in the peach to jump. And
Yeah.
so I'm getting to my book. So I jumped
Yeah. Yeah.
ship. And I feel that's also, you know, life creating with me. Not that I feel like these events mark us, they shape us. And sometimes we need something, I don't think we always do, but sometimes we need life to shake us by the shoulders and it's like,
Hmm.
hello, in order for us to move in the direction we're meant to go in, to actualize, to expand, to whatever. So I did that, and that was really scary. That felt really like going into entrepreneurship, but
Yeah.
it's been fantastic because it's been a meta lesson of how I want to be in relationship with life. Because
Right.
with entrepreneurship, you come face to face with uncertainty every day. Like, oh, what's next? Don't know. Let's see.
You're
like,
right.
it's like, woohoo! What a wild ride. But that's life. Life is
Yeah.
uncertain. It just is. And
Yeah.
sometimes when we're salaried, it can feel very certain, but it's
Hmm.
an illusion. Anything can happen. You could lose your job, you get fired. Anything can happen at any point in time. So I like that practice because that's where trust comes in. Well, if I'm in an uncertain, if I'm in uncertainty, I could choose trust instead of fear. And that's how I want to move. I don't want to
Yeah.
move with fear. I've moved with fear unconsciously from a lot of my life, and that's no longer. I want to move with trust with life. Like, okay,
Hmm.
let's see. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm actually going to lean back a little bit. I'm going to do what might not. I've been doing more and more of that, leaning back and seeing what's coming to me, and it's been delightful. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, oh my God, rather than pushing and forcing and trying to control. But that too
Hmm.
it takes time. So
Yeah.
anyway, here's the good news. So almost 2 years into my business, I got a hybrid publisher reached out to me, the founder, who is a fan fantastic man, really good salesman as well. And he's like, hey, have you ever thought of writing a book? And I thought, yeah, I have thought of it, but I don't know what I'd write about. And he's like, oh, no problem. We have like teams of editors and people who can help you with that. And so I just like, let's jump on a call. So I jumped on a call and we had a great meeting. He's like, no, you don't need to know exactly what it's going to be about yet. That's like, you figure it out as you create it, which is also what I learned from my business. I figured out what I was going to build by building it.
Right.
And I think that's so true of creativity, full stop. Like that's also building a business, also a very creative process, right? I mean, uh, so I remembered that. And I also had been building my muscle to jump and to leap and to be in uncertainty. So when the next call came, it's a big investment on many levels. So I was like,
Yeah.
"Ugh,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. Should I do this?" And then I asked myself the question, well, what happens if I don't do it?
Yeah.
If not now, when? What am I
Mm-hmm.
waiting for? Nothing's guaranteed. And so that kind of uncertainty, angst fear lasted maybe 24 hours. Like, I don't know. And then the next day I was like, yeah, I know. It's now. I'm gonna do it. I don't know what it will be, but it's making me feel alive. I'm being pulled toward it. It came my way and I'm saying, fuck yeah, excuse my language.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so what I just wanted to impart was the beautiful thing about leaping and jumping and into the unknown, into what's calling you, even though you don't know what's on the other side, but you feel really drawn to it and moved to it, is that it gets a little easier. It doesn't get easy, but
Right.
you're building your muscle for that. And to me,
Mm.
that's freedom. To be
Yeah.
able to move in directions and places that you don't know how it's going to be, but it's calling you, but you feel really alive as you move in that direction and choosing to do it despite the fear is freedom. It's
Yeah.
expansion. So, if anyone out there is on the fence thinking about doing something big, whatever it might be, and hearing that fear, which does get really loud when we're on the precipice of change,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know what's on the other side, I'd say build that muscle. Life
Yeah.
will open to you in so many unexpected ways, especially if it's deeply connected to what's like moving you or your intuition or you're feeling it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of us know when that happens. You feel it. It's a felt sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely more like, at least for, I've talked to a lot of women and we tend to feel it in our bodies. Like you literally
Yes.
feel that, like either the flow or when something isn't for you, you kind of do feel it in the body. So I like that when you're just like, like the image of you, you're just like sitting back and like, just like letting it all wash over you, is totally like, something I want to impart on all peoples, um, to kind of let that, flow happen. So then you're not constantly just pushing and expending all the energy that you could be using to kind of move with the flow instead.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't remember where I heard this. It's kind of like I guess a story or I don't know. I
Yeah.
heard this before and it really stayed with me of like this kind of a metaphor of life, the current of life. So sometimes it can feel like, we're in a river and there's a
Hmm.
strong current and we're
Yeah.
hanging on to a rock because we don't want to let go because we
Yeah.
don't know where the current's going to take us. And we know what the rock feels like. We know it's a bit slimy. It's like, we know where it's edgy and sharp and round and soft. And so we just kind of hang on, but we feel the current like lapping underneath us. So you
Mm-hmm.
feel it. But
Yeah.
it's like, if I let go, where am I going to go? And there's just a beauty in releasing into the current
Yes.
and seeing wherever it might take you. And I think like it's okay. Sometimes you release and it goes fast and then we might grab onto another rock and
Right.
feel the lap of the current, then get reminded, then release. But
Yeah.
it's just I would love to get to a beautiful point where I'm just flowing, where I'm just allowing the current to take me and trusting that wherever it's taking me is where I'm meant to go. Not that
Hmm.
wherever it takes me is going to be in paradise on earth, because I
Right.
don't think it's not, it's where it's taking me is something that I need to learn, grow, expand, actualize. And
Yeah.
some of those places at first might not be like, what? What am I doing here? And that's where trust comes in. No, I trust that this is for me.
Yes, that big word, trust. Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh gosh, so many beautiful, so inspiring talking with you about like your life, and then all your perspective on creativity is so great. I just make sure you want to jump out of your skin and do all sorts of things or rest, either of the two. Um, so either way. But where can folks learn more, find you and learn more about you and your book, all of that
Sure.
stuff?
I
Yeah,
think the best place is collective.studio. That's home base. That's where you have more information about the book, about how to partner with me creatively. Um, yeah, and some of the my newsletter, all the little things I'm up to. It's all there in that one spot. Best spot.
perfect. The best spot,
Best
everybody.
spot to reach. It's like home.
Yes.
Home
Uh,
online.
the home online. Yes. And we'll
Yes.
definitely have it and all of that in the show notes for people. And I always do this to my poor guests, but you give us so much wisdom. I'm asking for more. So, what words of wisdom do you want to leave us with today?
Okay. If you were going to creatively direct the next scene in your life, what would it look like? What would it be? And it could be a small, cute scene at home, or it could be a big scene. It's up to you. But like if you were just gonna sit in your director's chair and craft your next scene, what might it look like? It's not really wisdom per se. It's an invitation. And there's a lot in that because you can get curious about what you're drawn to, but get curious about what lights you up. Get curious what a beautiful, wonderful scene that you want to inhabit looks like. And it's a beautiful reminder that you are the creative director of your life. It's action.
Perfect. Oh, I love it, Pia. Oh, so thank you so much. I'm so happy we got connected.
Me too. Thank you,
Yes.
Marilee.
Thank you. Your support means the world to us. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it with others who might find this content valuable. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more enlightening discussions. Your engagement helps us grow, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being a part of the Casual Temple community.